LEIGHTDICKEY.com. Do you have an event or occasion coming up that could use a special touch? Perhaps a wedding, a production, a show? Good! Then you're in luck. Hayley Moores is who you're looking for. Hayley is a makeup artist in the Toronto, Ontario area, specializing in bridal, glam, natural, and special effects. She's incredibly talented, professional, easy to work with, and has a personality that is second to none. To book Hayley Moores today, follow her on Instagram at mad_milash, that's MAD_MILASH, or email her at madmilash, again, that's MADMILASH @gmail.com. Book Hayley Moores today, you'll be glad you did. LEIGHTDICKEY.com. LEIGHTDICKEY.com. Do you find yourself reminiscing on what life was like when you were younger? Do your favorite songs, movies, and TV shows instantly take you back to a simpler time? Great! Then you're in the right place. Join me, Leigh Dickey, on my new web series and podcast, Yo Nostalgia, where I cover everything you grew up with. From films and toys to fads and trends, Yo Nostalgia has it all. Subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever podcasts are available. Follow along on social media at Yo Nostalgia Show to keep up on this time-traveling trip. Yo Nostalgia, breathing new life into your memories, available everywhere now. LEIGHTDICKEY.com. LEIGHTDICKEY.com. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Leigh Dickey here. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Beats and Speaks podcast. Today, this week, I'm going to tell you why I think self-checkout is a pain in the ass. But before we get into why I think self-checkout is a mark against everything we should stand for and why I think it is a giant pain in the ass, I'm going to tell you where you can find the Beats and Speaks podcast. Of course, brand new episodes of the Beats and Speaks podcast are released every single week on my official website, LEIGHTDICKEY.com, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and wherever you get your podcasts. Please do comment, like, share, and subscribe. Find us on YouTube as well under Leigh Dickey TV. Please do rate and leave us nice comments and reviews on your favorite podcast app and player of choice. Leave us a 5-star review if you would. Please do get in touch with me and the show. Follow along on social media at Leigh T. Dickey or email me at leightdickey@gmail.com. All the information is listed in the show notes and description down below. Now that all that housekeeping is out of the way, let's get into why I think self-checkout is a giant pain in the ass right here on the Beats and Speaks podcast. Hey, that rhymed. All right, let's get into it right now. Alright, so yes, why I think self-checkout is a giant pain in the ass. Now, the idea for this episode came from me tuning in to a live episode of one of my favorite podcasts, the Better Half podcast, which is hosted by a past guest on this show, Larry Mohrmann, and a friend of his, Frank. I think his last name is Messina. And they were doing their March Babeness tournament, which now I'm convinced is the official replacement for March Madness, since we're in the middle of this whole COVID-19 thing and pretty much everything is suspended, postponed, put on hold until further notice. And right before they went live and did the share and what have you, and basically went live with the episode, Frank had mentioned that he thought self-checkout was a giant pain in the ass, and I tend to agree, so I'm about to tell you why. But if you want to get a glimpse into what life married is like and what life single is like, I would tune into and subscribe to the Better Half podcast. I will put all that stuff down in the description and the show notes. It will be down below, along with Frank and Larry's information. You can go follow them and keep up with them on social media. Do that. You're going to love the show. Trust me. But why I think self-checkout is a giant pain in the ass and why I agree with Frank. Now, we may have different ideas, but I'm sure that we will come to the same conclusion that self-checkout is a giant pain in the ass and should really be abolished because there's really no use for it, in my opinion. Now, the first time I encountered self-checkout was about, I want to say 7 years ago. This was back when Zellers, the Canadian retailer, was bought out by Target, and they tried expanding up into Canada, because I've mentioned several times that this show is produced out of Toronto, Canada, where I happen to live, and this is where it comes to you from. But one of the bigger locations, at least in Toronto, was in a former Zellers, which is in one of the malls here. And it's like one of the first things I noticed was the self-checkout when I was in there with my mom about 7 years ago. I thought it was super weird. The mall, it was somewhat busy. Like, it was just after, I don't know, maybe like 10, 11 o'clock, and I think the mall had been opened maybe like a half an hour, 45 minutes or so. But people were starting to file in, and we went into the Target that was in this mall. There was one person working the entire front of the store thus far. That's all I could see, because I'm starting to, go down, up and down the aisles, while, I see one person working the registers, or what I thought would be, someone I thought would be working the registers. But she was standing by, I guess, what turned out to be a self-checkout machine. She just kept standing. She was just standing there, twiddling her thumbs, like she'd pull out her phone every once in a while. And I thought that was just kind of weird. So my mom and I go, on our shopping trip, and we get what we came to get, or get what we wanted to come to get. And we go to check out. No registers are open, by the way. And there are several employees that we encounter on our, sort of adventure or trip within this Target. So I'm thinking, like, wouldn't you call somebody to open a register? Why wouldn't a register be open? Because that concept of self-checkout really didn't click in my mind at that time, where it's like, why wouldn't a register be open? If the mall is open, if your store is open, and you have I saw at least 4 checkout lines there, why wouldn't you have the registers open? Like, that is just stupid. To me, that, like, it's a dumb concept to have registers and then have self-checkout, but not have registers open and have employees that are standing around doing nothing. Right? And just have one person working the entire front of the store, standing there like a budget version of Vanna White, telling you to come purchase things or buy things through the self-checkout. It didn't make sense to me, but hey, it made sense to Target, and I suppose that's part of the reason, aside from expanding into Canada way too fast, part of the reason they went bankrupt inside Canada within like 18 months and had to basically tuck their tails between their legs and go right back down to the States. Again, not knocking Target, but that's just from my vantage point, okay? And so this girl, who spent a lot of the time on her phone, or at least from what I did see, like every 2 seconds she'd be pulling out her phone from her back pocket. She, my mom was wondering why the registers weren't open, as was I, but she just kept standing by the self-checkout. I said, oh, well, we do self-checkout. My mom, and my mom is old school, as am I, okay? I'd much rather hand somebody who's working a register the items I need to purchase, have them run it through, because they're working there. And it's not that, I'm immune to working. It's just, I don't work for your company, and even Frank said this in the Better Half episode. I don't work there, right? I don't, you're getting employed by this company to work a register, to check people's items through and cash them out. Yet you're touting self-checkout. Like, I don't get it. And you're standing there by the self-checkout, right? It doesn't make sense. Like, why employ somebody if all they're going to do is stand there like a budget Vanna White and, tell you to go self-checkout, right? Or I can teach you how to use it, yeah, but in the amount of time it would they would take that person to teach someone how to use self-checkout, you could have cashed me out at a register, and I could have been on my merry way. And that's why it gets to me, and it bugs me that we're touting self-checkout, right? here we are in like 2020. But regardless, we got through that self-checkout experience. I didn't like it because, you know, again, like I said, I'd much rather put my items on a conveyor belt that's leading to a register, have somebody scan them through, and then just give them, you know, cash or pay with my debit card and go, right? That's it. It's quick, it's painless, and done. Everybody that thinks, I'm sure there are some people that think self-checkout is awesome, but to be quite honest with you, I don't feel like juggling my groceries, searching for a barcode. I'm not Indiana Jones looking for the Holy Grail. I just want to cash my stuff out and get out of there, right? That's just me. And I've had to use self-checkout a couple times just because some lines have been super long, and I've had to flag down somebody that works there to basically teach me how these things work. If I have to push more buttons than I'm used to in a grocery store, all I want to do is get my groceries, go up to a register, have somebody scan them through who works there, give them the money, and go. I don't want to have to, you know, juggle my groceries like I'm in some poor man circus, you know, search for a barcode. And that's the thing, when you're searching for a barcode, it's like Shaquille O'Neal trying to shoot free throws. You know you're probably going to miss something somewhere, okay? So I'm searching for a barcode, and then they teach you you have to scan these things one at a time. You have to go back, and then you have to go forward, and then you have to make sure that you have to hit pay now, and then if you have a points card for this certain place, whether it's like Shoppers or whatever, because obviously you can get groceries anywhere. Like Walmart sells them. Up here in Canada, we have Shoppers, Loblaws, you know, IGA, Sobeys. For those of you down in the States, that's like CVS or Walgreens, or Rite Aid, right? Like you can get groceries anywhere. But the fact that we're really touting the whole self-checkout thing doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to have like actual people as employees if all you're going to do is tout self-checkout. Like what is the point in having somebody stand there when all they're going to do is tell you self-checkout's open, self-checkout's open, self-checkout's open? Guess what? I'd rather stand here and wait for the person in front of me to go so I can get in front of you and you can scan my groceries through, because I don't feel like searching for a barcode like I'm Indiana Jones looking for the Holy Grail, all right? I don't feel like going to the end of the golden rainbow trying to be a Lucky Charms mascot looking for a pot of gold. I just, like, no. I would much rather, you know what you're looking for, you work there, you're trained to do this. And I'm not saying that being a cashier is easy. I mean, I've done it, right? Because it isn't, because you have to deal with the public, and sometimes they can get a bit testy, right? So nobody's job is easy, okay? And I am forever grateful for the cashiers that I do encounter. Let's just make this quick, painless, so we can all go home happy, right? Because every single time I'm shopping for groceries, whether I'm at a Shoppers or anywhere else, IGA, Food Basics, doesn't matter, whether it's Sobeys, you name it, everybody that comes up to, it's like somebody, whether it's an employee or somebody in management, will come up to me and say, well, would you want to try self-checkout? No, there's a reason I'm standing in line at a register. I want to put my grocery items or whatever I'm buying on the conveyor belt leading to the register so the person working behind said register can run those groceries through, because it's quicker. At the end of the day, I find that quicker. I'd much rather have somebody who's trained to do it and has been there for a while just very quickly scan my groceries or scan my items. Okay, great, good. Tell me what my total is and what I owe you. It could be 28, 35, whatever it is. I will pay via cash, debit, whatever, and I'll go, right? And you can deal with the next person, right? I'm not going to stand there and tell you my life story. I'm not going to stand there and write a memoir when all I need are groceries. So I want to make this as quick and painless for the person working there as I would want them to make it quick and painless for me. I just want my groceries. I just want my items. I want you to scan them, and I want to give you money for them so you can put them in a bag, and then I can just either throw them in my walker basket or carry them out of the store. Like that's it. Okay, this entire transaction should take no more than 5 minutes. If that, it makes it easier for me anyway, if I give my items to a cashier who's working behind the register so they can scan their stuff, so they can scan the items, right? So that way I don't have to get stressed out and I don't have to deal with self-checkout. I don't have to deal with going over to the self-checkout, trying to find a barcode, juggling the items depending on what they are, and then, okay, add that to cart. Go back, scan another item, add that to cart. Go back, scan another item, add that to cart, and then, okay, I'm done. What now? Oh, pay via debit, because these self-checkout machines don't take cash. They don't take physical paper money. They take debit or credit. Okay, so I scan or tap or whatever with my debit or credit card. And then if you have a points card for a certain place, okay, scan that too. Okay, pay now. Oh, all right, that's what you owe. Great. The machine prints out a receipt. Everybody's like, oh, self-checkout's awesome. Self-checkout's quicker. Honestly, I find it easier to just give my items to somebody working a register so they can scan them through, because that's the quick and painless way for me. I'll give you cash. I'll pay with my debit card, whatever I have on me, I'll pay for it, and then I can go home happy and you can deal with the next customer. It's just that simple. That's how I like to deal with things, and that's why I think self-checkout's a giant pain in the ass. I just, when somebody working at a store their main responsibility is to plug or promote the whole self-checkout, it defeats the purpose of them actually working for your store. It defeats the purpose of the store actually having physical employees. Like, I don't understand that. If you're going to give somebody an hourly wage just so they can stand there, right, like Vanna White on a bad day, then, like, I don't get it. Like, you're paying somebody an hourly wage so they can stand there and model for you these self-checkout machines that are basically taking their jobs. It doesn't make sense to me. And to be frank, like I've mentioned several times in this episode, I would much rather put my items on a conveyor belt that's on a register with somebody working behind it, so they, have the person working behind the register scan those items through, because they know what they're looking for. They know where the barcodes are. They've done this for a while. They're quick. They're quicker than I would be on a self-checkout machine. You want something quick and painless? Wait in line. Okay, I understand that sometimes you have to exercise a little patience, because people at points do, 2 to 3 weeks, 3 weeks worth of grocery shopping in one shot. I get it. Sometimes you have to exercise a little patience. But in my experience, no matter where you're shopping for groceries or items or whatever, the quicker way to do it is to always wait in line at a register with a cashier working there. Okay, and when I see employees just tout the whole self-checkout, like, check this out, it's quicker. If you're paying via debit or credit or whatever, that's great. Like, no, as a customer, I don't want to juggle my groceries or juggle my items and basically go down a rabbit hole looking for a barcode. I'm not there for that. That's what you have employees for. That's all I'm saying, and that's why I think self-checkout is a giant pain in the ass. But thank you all again for listening to this week's episode of the Beats and Speaks podcast. Please do comment, like, share, and subscribe. Find us on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and my official website, LEIGHTDICKEY.com. We're on YouTube as well under Leigh Dickey TV. Remember to follow along with the show and me at Leigh T. Dickey. Email the show and me, LeighTDickey@gmail.com, if you would like. Rate us 5 stars and leave us reviews as well. That would be awesome. Thank you very much. Follow along with Frank Messina and Larry Mohrmann on social media and their show, The Better Half podcast. I will throw all that information down in the description below. Thanks again for listening. And we will see you all and talk to you all again next week for a brand new episode of the Beats and Speaks podcast. All right, my name is LEIGHTDICKEY, and I am signing off. We will talk to you all next week. Have a good one. Talk to you soon. Peace. LEIGHTDICKEY.com